Good morning everyone from Ghetto Eccetera Art Gallery in Campo del Ghetto Nuovo, with Donatella Chiara Bedello here today with us for her personal exhibition Walk of Life. Welcome Donatella and thank you for these amazing paintings.
Thank you.
It's always a pleasure to host you in this frame that is the gallery that you opened in 1996. How is it to be back again?
Coming home after so many years is always really emotional, even if Campo del Ghetto is upside down. But it is always him. So, when I come back, I always feel the same feelings that I have felt for many years.
A quick explanation for those who are not here at the moment. Today it's June 17th, 2025, and there are a couple of construction sites because they are working on the renovation of the Jewish Museum. So currently, let's say that there is a bit to see in the ghetto area. So, returning to artworks, can you tell us something about this wonderful painting called Zito Sons?
Well, I have chosen it mainly because it had many dark colors upon which the writing stood out, but also for the bread in the foreground and also this postcard display stand, one really strange object that is placed in this corner and that belongs to the shop nearby. This shop was founded in 1924 by a Palermitan who moved to America, Antonio Zito. Then the activity was carried out by his sons. Unfortunately, this shop closed 5 years ago.
About this shop, some details are particularly striking and they always return in your poetics. For example, the handwritten blackboard. Can you tell us something about this?
It's nice to notice the contrast between the officiality of the perfect writings on the windows and on the curtain, with the more friendly, encouraging, and written blackboards. It seems like an invitation to enter, stepping over officiality.
Another thing that stands out is the open hatch in front of the shop. It's something recurrent in New York, I guess, because it's present in many of your paintings. What does it represent for you?
It represents descent. Usually hatches are represented closed. In this case, the hatch is opened and is interesting the contrast between the deep dark and the metal of this gate. This bakery was the subject of a famous shot by the photographer Berenice Abbott in 1937, making this bakery an icon of her photographs exhibited in the Jewish Museum of New York.
Thank you for this explanation. Getting back for a while, I wanted to ask you a question. This passion for details we have read and seen many times comes from your parents' shop, a haberdashery that had a multitude of small objects and that you spent hours cataloging when you were not at school. But I was wondering, how much complex is to represent all of them? How do you not get lost? Or maybe you get lost?
No, I don't. Simply, I try to isolate them piece by piece. In this case, there are not so many objects represented, but in other paintings there is a jumble of things. So, what can I do? Honestly, I would like to sketch all of them, but it's not possible. So I try to isolate them piece by piece. It's like I do a small slide, like a grid working in session. Yes, right, like a small grid, and then I complete every passage.
I am completely incapable of drawing. My question is, what do you do at some point? I have seen you while painting. You draw for lines and you fill them with color. You move away and they are baguettes. If I do this, they are worms trying to escape.
These baguettes have a bottom layer, like yellow ochre, and then depending on where the light is, they have a shadow. When you do a shadow with the darkest color that could be like burnt sienna, you give the volume to the object you want to represent.
Thank you for the explanation. For me, it would be impossible, but now I know the theory at last. Anyway, the things that are always really surprising to me are these very fine writing, as we can see in the writing Zitos, entirely made with brushes.
Well, I use a very thin brush and of course I sketch it with the pencil because the writing, especially these writings that are not straight, but even those that are straight, need a ground. And so, by pencil I try to draw the writings as similar as possible, and then, while completely going over and over with the white color brush, I check the image that I am copying and I adjust it. Some are perfectly well done. In other writings, you can understand they are handmade. For example, this A of the word bakery is not perfect. But I have left them like this precisely for this reason, because you can see that it is handmade and is not something printed.
This is something we always say to our visitors here in the gallery, that these images are not printed and then colored. Anyway, I couldn't even do that. But they are all handmade, starting from the drawing.
Anyway, let's say I don't draw everything but just some parts where I need the proportions. As I said, surely I need a pencil sketch as a ground for writings, but there are some parts that I don't draw because I can do them immediately with the brush.
Of course, this is part of the big artist's mysteries. Thank you very much, Donatella, for this conversation about Zito and Sons.
Thank you.